So we're live? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Jackson Grant Live. I'm June, recruitment consultant from Jackson Grant. And today, as usual, we have a master recruitment, I would say, with us, Alexander Grant, the Director of Recruitment Operation at Jackson Grant.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the lovely introduction.
Yeah, so Alex, how is your week so far?
Week so far, extremely busy, but it's only Tuesday, so we've got a while to go. But I'd say at the end of last week, it was great. I went to the AmCham Eastern Seaboard multi-chamber event where I got to meet lots of new people, lots of nice wine, and that was quite good. How about you? What's been happening with you lately?
Oh, I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, after the day after like our first live was launched, I went on a grab bike in a Sukhumvit road, and that day was rainy day, and slippery road. So basically, I just fell off the bike, and I stuck in the hospital for 2 nights.
But not broken, no?
No, I just like a little. You hope so?
No, but then you don't work. Come on.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's just a little fracture, but at the moment, I'm totally fine.
Yeah, she's been soldiering on bravely, so thank you for that as well.
Okay, so well, as you can see from our post, what we mentioned previously on the first EP as well, that today we will discuss about how to maximize ROI on job boards. So might be a hot topic among HR professionals, actually.
I think so.
Yeah, so today we are going to discuss in all aspects of job posts and how we can improve them for the better. And topic today will cover sharing overview on how people generally apply for a job in 2023, how to reduce advertising spend while significantly increasing the results, insight or tips into what agencies are doing to attract exceptional candidates, and how to eliminate recruiting partners in favor of those that produce the maximum results. Okay. So let's dive deeper into it. So, okay, Alex, from your experience, like in recruitment, can you please share on an overview of how people generally apply for a job in 2023?
Yeah, sure. So I think first of all, it's important that we do research into how people apply. So we've got very good relationships with our job board partners, such as JobsDB and also LinkedIn. And we invite these people to meet with us and give us statistical breakdowns. And JobsDB, they are fantastic in their customer service. And one of the things that they tell us is that the way people look for jobs and apply for jobs has changed dramatically over the last few years. So in the past, people would sit on their laptop in work when they get a bit frustrated, and they would read in detail the job descriptions. But that's kind of changed now. So what happens now is that they check it on their phone, they check their app. The way that it's viewed, they only see the first 3 bullet points of a job. So you have a very short time to capture their attention.
Exactly.
And what JobsDB tell us is that 80% of all of their users do not apply for a job. So those 3 bullet points are absolutely critical in order to grab the eyes, grab the attention, get them to click into the job and actually read it in detail. What are your thoughts on the 3 job points, June?
I agree because like when we now, like, as you know, like on social media, we spend like less time like checking on things. Basically, you see like on TikTok, like Facebook, Instagram. Now we seem to browse through it, and to like they will stop only something that's very catchy. And like what we found, like we basically just browsed to the one of the most popular job board, like JobsDB, and they have the three job highlights, like 3 bullet points. Most of the company, what we found is like they only put what they want, like more than what they provide to the candidates, and that's how the candidates like they lose their interest like very quick because it's just like okay. Like we can find this information in the job description as well. Like so what the company can provide to the candidates, that how that how it's like catch the attention.
Yeah, so to go into just a little bit more detail on that, for example, if you look at a lot of job posts, it might say 5 years experience, team management essential, must be able to travel up country as well. So I think what is super important is that goes into your job description anyway. So what you really need to focus on is what are those selling points. So is there work from home? What is the salary? What is the EVP of the company? How can you grab the eyes that want to click into the job description and read it in more detail? So yeah, I think you're totally right. Yeah, and I mean, just to add to that as well, what I would say is not just trying to attract candidates from experience, rather look at skills as well. I think that's really important. So recently, I was lucky enough to go to an American Chamber event where Deloitte were the hosts, and they did the Deloitte Human Capital Report of 2023. This was a survey which was conducted worldwide, and it provided an insight into how candidates apply for jobs, what candidates are looking for, and there were some pretty interesting statistics. So June, do you want to take us through a few of these statistics and we can start to unpack it?
Yeah, sure. So I would say like this is like this statistic is more like in general and globally. So it doesn't mean that it needs to like apply to everybody. So but it's like the what can I say, like the workforce like trend at the moment. So 64% of candidates will only consider a job if it has a flexible working arrangement. For example, working from home, like post-pandemic effects. 46% of Gen Z say they are stressed all or most of the time. 53% of the women at work are more stressed than a year ago. 40% of global workforce are considering leaving their job this year. 97 million new roles will be created by 2025 as human meets AI or technology. This will require over 50% of all workers to be reskilled.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there. So let's start with the first point, which is 64% of candidates will only consider a job if it has flexible working arrangements. So if we're looking at maximizing the ROI on job boards, one of the first things that you should be highlighting in job posts is if you have flexible working arrangements, make sure that's apparent. So whether it's completely flexible working arrangements, whether it's part working flexible working arrangements, I think you need to mention that. It's really critical. Also, what we find, which is another statistic, not from Deloitte, but this one is again from JobsDB, is about 74% of candidates actually drop off throughout an application process. So speed is essential too. Second point is 46% of Gen Z say they are stressed all or most of the time. So I'm not Gen Z. June, maybe you can comment on this a little bit more. But what I would say here is that from a company perspective, when you're posting your job ads, if you have something which is like a chill out area, or you have like a psychologist on site to help the staff, or you do mental health awareness, this can be something else which you can put in your job descriptions, which can really attract people. Do you have any opinion on this part?
For me, like as I'm actually in Gen Y, but at the end, like right at the
borderline.
end. Yeah, borderline. So I would say that now we kind of like live under like the expectation of the society that like at this age you will have to get this and that. So we kind of pressure ourselves to be successful at work. And and they are now like Gen Z, they are now at the beginning of their career. They're just like at the beginning, and then they just like, oh, I need to be successful, which is like we all have been through this. Like at the beginning, it's just like we need to get through like thick and thin and everything, right? So I think they kind of like pressure themselves to be successful because of like like on social media you have seen a lot of like successful stories from someone else.
No one really posts about their failures.
That's the
apart
key.
From me.
Yeah.
But so, as like an early, I'd be early Gen Y. I would say like the way I was brought up was you work hard and you get your rewards for working hard.
Mhm.
So for me, I don't feel like stressed by working hard.
Mhm.
And I think if I'm an employer, and which I am myself,
Mhm.
I also need to understand how Gen Z feel,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, that's the future of our organization. And if we're not accommodating what those people want, it's very hard to keep growing. So the next point, 53% of women are more stressed than a year ago. So when this topic was brought up, it was a bit contentious, and I'd say 50% of the women disagreed. And so to unpack this a little bit, I would say this is probably directly related to COVID, because mothers had the opportunity to be at home with their children more often. And now some companies have torn that up and said you must be back in the office. And for those people who want that flexibility, they're in the high majority who are wanting to change jobs because they want that flexibility. Also, for women in senior management, it's really difficult, because if they don't have that flexibility, maybe they're considered not as attractive to hire as men, because men spend more time in the office, which we all know is nonsense anyway. But what I would say is, if a lot of companies, they're trying to attract female leadership or female management, and they should also try to reflect that in their job descriptions, so it can attract those type of people to apply as well.
Yeah, I think it also depends, like me as a woman. For me, I'm not like I am less stressed than last year for sure. But one thing, it's just like all about the factors in that life. Someone is like like a mother.
Yeah.
Like you have the different roles to play in your life. Oh, so that's why it like creates some stress. But for me, it's like if you are still like not single, but like you carefree. Like you don't have much to think about. So it depends on the factors in their life. But most of the workers, they are in like middle age, where they have kids. Their kids is going to school. And
just to clarify, middle age is, you mean mid-30s or middle age? I think like 60, 70 now.
No. Like 30 to 40.
Just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next topic is obviously 40% of the global workforce considering leaving. I think the key word here is considering. It doesn't mean that they're going to leave. So this might be, if it's internal, it might be an opportunity for you to speak to your staff and look at employee engagement. Again, if you've got any questions on this, feel free to put it in the comments below, and we can answer them later. But what I would say as an opportunity is that go back to the highlights of the job. Really, how can you get the eyes on this role? Another thing that we didn't talk about is including the salary in the 3 bullet points as well, or the 3 highlights. We have been told now that we shouldn't be scared to put the salaries on jobs. Because even though we want to stretch parameters, we still need people to be within budgets as well. And then the last one is obviously about the creation of 97 million new roles. A lot of people are scared of AI and technology and how it's going to affect them and take over their lives. And all I would say on this topic is, 30 years ago, they graduated, they had a skill set, and then they went into the workplace for 20, 30 years. And it didn't really require to be upskilled. This is an opportunity when you graduate now, and maybe you need to be reskilled after 3-4 years, and keep developing skills. And this is a huge opportunity for businesses to grow and expand.
Yeah, I think the key thing with the technology is just like not you scared of it, but it's just like you learn to live with it. Embrace the new technology. So thank you, Alex. So moving on to the meat of the discussion today, how to reduce advertising spend while significantly increasing results.
Okay, so this one, it needs to be packaged step by step. So I think first of all, HR professionals, they need to have a clear understanding of their yearly HR budget. That's step one. Secondly, to specify the recruitment budget from their HR budget. Next, to do a cost analysis on the previous year's spend, number of jobs posted, number of jobs reposted. How are you tracking your candidates? Do you have a HRIS system which tracks where your candidate came from? Do you have a particular recruitment company that you work with where you get better results? Do you have an internal referral system? How do you track where your candidates come from? and then breaking it down into how much you can afford to spend on job boards, because that's where you can really maximize your ROI, return on investment. So one of the biggest tips I can give you, and this is, I guess, controversial, is to spend for what you need, not what you want. So I'll say that again, what you need, not what you want. So what I mean here is we're optimistic as companies, as people who hire. And what we do is we go to our job board partners and we think, right, let's try and negotiate a price to get the most we can get, as many as we can get, and then we'll pay a little bit more, but at least we've got a buffer. Actually, what happens is we end up spending more money than we actually need when you do a full analysis. So if you were to really look at the headcount, slash 20% of that number, be brave, because you can always buy more later on. But what happens is people then start to repost jobs and use job slots that they don't really need. So it's I think it's really important to really look at what you need, not what you want. And I guess the next step would be to really plan before you post that job. Because if you don't plan before posting, maybe you're not spending enough time to really identify who is the candidate you want. You know, as we know, when we post a job, we get hundreds and hundreds of candidates at times. It can take a long time. And we also need to be thinking about the candidate experience. So if you are a company and you have 300 people apply to a job and you only speak to 5 of them, you're going to have a bad sort of, not reputation as such, but maybe people will feel a little bit like they don't want to apply for another job because they didn't hear back from you. And recruitment, it's similar, but this is how we can embrace some technology as well to help us. And again, if you've got any questions on this, happy to answer any questions at the end. And then if we look at another type of job board, we can look at LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, you can be proactive with your job slots. We can go into more detail in the Q&A because I know that we're going to run out of time otherwise. So should we move on to the next topic?
Sure. So, Alex, any insight or tips into what agencies are doing to attract exceptional candidates?
Okay, so I don't want to give all our secrets away, otherwise you won't want to work with us. But what I would say is that, again, it's about the relationship that we have with our job board partners. And we really want to understand how we can attract the better candidates. So I think step 1 is try and meet with them. If you're paying them a lot of money, why don't you invite them to come to your office and give you that, overview of how you can improve? So for the benefits of today's conversation, we'll focus on one specific industry that we work in, which is logistics and supply chain. So JobsDB have told us that we perform better than the industry. So to give you a little bit more information, we're able to grab candidates' attention. We know what the candidates are looking for. We specialize in this, so each time we do it, we get better. We also are able to stretch the parameters into skills over experience. And then once we get those candidates, because of the technologies that we use, we're better at funneling applications, better at candidate feedback, we're better at storing data with PDPA compliance, and gaining the candidate's consent. So to give you very specific details, we get 30 to 40% more views, so more eyes, but then we get 50% more applications than the industry standard. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So if you think that a lot of companies are not getting back to a lot of candidates, can you imagine what we have to do? And then the actual end result of that is we only get 2 to 3% more conversion. So even though we get 50% more job applications, 2 to 3% conversion is not a lot. But often that's the difference between finding the right candidate and not.
Yeah, I can say that normally we just want widen our search to be in a bigger picture. But when at the end of the day, we narrow down the suitable candidates and then we turn them into this amount of candidates. So that's why we use our specialization, turn it into and we can turn it into like our talent pool. You know,
Yeah.
we are building our own talent pool as well.
I mean, I would say as well that we can identify certain skills from candidates that we might see that it's not right for this job right now, but if we can engage with them and give them some solid feedback and have a conversation with them, we can ask them, is it possible to store your information, you stay on our talent pools, and we can contact you in the future.
Yeah.
And normally, because of our proactivity, we're able to maintain those relationships, which means we further specialize, we build our talent pools, we build our different industries. Then when we get that job, we don't have to rely on job boards. We've got another way to really get the candidates.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So last but not least, but this might be a controversial and tricky part as well, how to eliminate recruiting partners in favor of those that produce maximum results, and why do you think this idea is effective in long term, Alex?
Ooh. Okay, very controversial, because this is where we're not supposed to sell in these podcasts, right? Okay, so I think, again, to unpackage this in a step-by-step manner is, in order to find the best partner in recruitment, I think that the emphasis is on partnership. If you look at the recruitment industry as a standard, a lot of recruitment, particularly in Thailand, is quite transactional. Now, this can be due to culture, can be due to the terms of business, can be due to the seniority of the job. There are many, many reasons why. But what we try to do is to educate clients on the benefits of partnership. Because if we have skin in the game, if we have chances to learn their EVP, employee value proposition, if we have the chance to really understand what motivates their staff, then of course we can do a better job. But if the client is not willing to give their recruiters that they work with more details, access to hiring managers, it can make it really, really difficult to be successful. And that doesn't mean you have to work with Jackson Grant, but a lot of, let's say, a lot of performance in recruitment can be dependent on the consultant rather than the company. So if the consultant moves company, then maybe the company has to start again, or they have to follow the recruiter. And Thailand, although it's a generalist market, it's important to find those particular specialists for what you need. And I think quality over quantity is essential, because with the transactional nature of recruitment, let's say a company decides to work with 3 to 4 recruiters. In their mindset, they might be thinking, well, if I work with 3 to 4 and each company provide me with 4 candidates, then I've got more choice to make a decision, which will then help me to reach my service level agreement that I've agreed with my boss, and I will be fine.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that most of the time, candidates are duplicated, the candidate experience is not good, people drop out, we're approaching active candidates because we need to work very quickly, and recruitment is expensive. So I think it's important to develop a partnership, but also to develop relationship. And the relationship is key. Like, is your recruiter willing to come and meet you face to face? Are you willing to introduce them to line managers? And by doing that, you can get a true understanding of the requirements.
Yeah.
And then our job is made a lot easier, because we can sift through the people that aren't going to match.
Yeah.
We can be a lot more proactive than reactive. And then, that can really help the customer, the client, to find what they need.
Yeah. So I can add on this a little bit, because I'm currently working on, mostly I will work on the project. So but basically it's where I can have transparent communication with clients, and we we have the access to what client needs, and that's how we success at our work as a project, because we constantly working with them, consult them on their pain points.
Yeah.
Because we have opportunity to talk transparently with them. So I think that's the key thing that I am happy to work on in a project recruitment.
But I would also say as well, in recruitment, we always lose. We're never the people that can control. So you have a recruitment roller coaster. Sometimes we win big, sometimes we lose, sometimes we win.
Yeah.
And what that can create is like a lot of instability and maybe this is controversial, but mental health as well.
Yeah.
You know, if recruiters get used to failing too often, it makes them demotivated.
Yeah.
Whereas if you work in partnership, we can develop a culture of success. And if our staff are happy, then and the client is happy, then it's a win-win situation.
I agree. Well, I think we covered the key topics of the day. So
Yes.
let's move on to Q&A session. Let me check the question on the comment section real quick. Piguki.
Okay. Hi, Alex. I have one question regarding if candidates have 7 years experience, good skill set, but want to relocate from India to Thailand, what exact process needed?
Okay, first of all, hi Amal, and thank you for your question. I think wrong episode. Episode 1 will have covered that in more detail. But just to give you a little bit of help, it doesn't really matter on your skill set in terms of getting the job. What you need to really do an investigation on is what is the type of customer that you would fit in with. Do they hire expats? Are there any restrictions to hiring? And we can talk a little bit offline in more detail, but I would say you need to have a unique selling point. And if your skill set is unique, then I think you've got a very good opportunity to get a job in the country. But if your skill set is one of many, then it is very difficult.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. Any more questions on the comment section, Cookie? No, not anymore. Okay. So thank you so much, everybody, who's joining us today. If you have any idea what content you wish we could contribute, please feel free to drop in the comments. We would love to hear it. Okay. So looking forward to see you guys again in the next episode in the next 2 weeks. And any topic in mind, Alex, for the next one?
Yeah, so I think for the next episode, we're going to look at ChatGPT, and we're going to look at the pros and the cons of using AI, and we're also going to expose you guys to some other options with AI because there's many. There's not just ChatGPT, so we can explore that in more detail next time. We can also look at how AI is changing recruitment, which I can tell you, not a lot. Right now, it's too unreliable. It lies to us, so we can't use it. So yeah, I mean, thank you everybody for joining today. Let's just run through a quick summary of what we discussed today. So I think step 1, be mindful on what will attract your candidates. So we looked at that in detail. Secondly, about maximizing your ROI, which is through analysis of budget versus spend and looking at the key intricacies of what you've done to hire. Finding the best strategy to fit your company, whether it's EVP, whether it's benefits that you have, it depends, and looking at the past performance of your job ads, because a lot of the past can dictate the future and give you some ways to really enhance your ROI next time around. So thank you everybody for joining today. Look forward to the next episode. Pop your comments in the comment section. This will also go live on YouTube within the next 48 hours. So all that leaves me to say is thank you very much to my wonderful host, June. So thank you for this.
Thank you, Alex, for joining.
And the lady behind the scenes, Kun Cook, thank you very much for moderating for us. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
I'll see you.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.